Hey guys, my name's Egypt. And today I'm gonna be doing a sewing vlog. I've been super excited to finally be posting like dedicated sewing videos on my channel. This has been something that I planned on doing for a really long time, and I just am so inconsistent. That's something that I want to work on this year for sure. In today's video, I'm gonna be doing a couple of alterations, and I'm also gonna be making something from scratch, which is pretty fun and definitely getting me back into the groove of the sewing. So if you guys are interested in maybe getting an introduction to sewing, maybe you already know how to sew and you want some inspiration for things that you can do, I just want to preface by saying that this is not a tutorial and that it's more of like a showing you what I'm doing. I'm not a professional, and I'm also like more of an intermediate sewer. Take everything with a grain of salt. Okay, all right, don't say you got your information from here. I found a piece of fur trim at the thrift store, and I knew that I could use it as an accessory, maybe as a top or an accessory on my bottom, like as a belt, but I just wanted more for it. So I did some brainstorming and I came up with the idea of just making a tube top. Honestly, it's pretty basic, but the top is fur and the bottom is just a black fabric that I got from Joann's. It was a super simple, easy DIY if you want like an introduction to maybe working with fur. I feel like this is definitely something that's good. If I had enough to wrap around the whole bottom of a skirt, I would have definitely put it on the bottom of a mini skirt versus the top. But I was working with such limited fabric that I had to do something that would just work. Essentially, the tube top will look like this. I think it's really cute. It's a pretty simple design and project. Do I want more for this piece of fur? This is the only stretchy black fabric I have, and it's a long sleeve shirt that I thrifted that I'm just gonna sacrifice for this project. I also have this scrap little thing that I found in my stash as I was organizing, and I was thinking maybe this pink fabric with it as a tube top could be cute. I feel like this one gives too much of a Christmas vibe, and it's not Christmas anymore. So this is gonna be my project right now until I think of something else. I don't know, I'm still not committed to the idea yet because I feel like it's so many options. So first I'm going to make the tube top, and then I'm going to attach the fur. I'm using a top that I made that I like the shape of. This top is already pretty small, so I'm just going to cut it into a tube top shape, hem the top, attach that, and that's pretty much it. This is the shape of the tube top. I cut it at an angle with the middle being the smallest so that it makes your waist and hip proportions look more flattering versus cutting a straight rectangle. So I'm going to sew along the edges as well as the hem of the top, and then I will attach this probably only to the front of the top because I don't have enough, honestly, to cover the back. And boom, we have a tube top. All the seams, the inside, everything's looking very professional because of the overlock machine. Now I'm gonna attach the fur everywhere that you see the pink pins. But let's say a prayer first, because you know how fur can get. Thank God everything worked out great. No needles were broken, no trauma was caused to my sewing machine, but I did pull the fabric as I was sewing, and it kind of made the fit of the top a little bit looser, so I had to go back and fix that, and that's why it looks all wavy. So I wouldn't suggest pulling the fabric, just trust the stretch of your fabric. But anyhow, this is how it looks. It looks super good, exactly how I envisioned it to look. I'm super happy with the outcome of this. Very spontaneous, very just in the moment type of design, situation, and construction. So you guys can let me know how you feel about it in the comments down below. This is something that I would wear in the winter. My winters are in Florida, so this just feels like something someone in Florida would wear in the winter, like cosplaying winter, but it's hot. And I also think it would be super cute in the springtime. It just is a vibe, you know? It's not like a weather type of thing. It's just whether or not it fits the vibes. I feel like it could look really nice at a festival with some micro shorts or even like a mini skirt. It looks cool with baggy jeans if you wanted something more casual with some boots possibly, or even sneakers. She's just that girl, and I'm really proud of myself. This one, yeah, I ate that up. I can't lie. For this project, I was inspired by a photo that I saw, and it was a photo of a dress, but somebody stitched like a patch of a tiger on the entire front of the dress. And that is what inspired me to do this project. Once I find a tapestry print that I like that's big enough to put on an entire body of a dress, I'm definitely gonna do that. But just for this project, I wanted to test it out, see how I can be creating my patches and stitching them on. So I decided to start off a little bit smaller. I just cut out a butterfly out of a tapestry blanket. You can find these at the thrift store. That's where I get all of mine for like just a couple dollars. And they're really big, so you could make like tops out of them. I've made pants out of them. The dress that I found that was my base for this project was just a little bit too short, so I used the tassel that comes on the tapestry blanket to line the bottom, and it adds like an inch and a half to the dress, which makes it just appropriately short without my butt out. So it worked, and I think it would be pretty cute to add like a patch or something on a mini skirt as well. Super excited to kind of just build on these projects and continue just letting my mind go and be creative. Another spontaneous project. I had these scraps of this tapestry blanket that I used to make these other tops, and I was like, I think it would be kind of cute if I took a design from the tapestry blanket and stitched it onto something else. So I found this dress at Rainbow. I don't know if everybody has Rainbow around them, but it was $4, so right up my alley because I like a bargain. Cute little black dress. Okay, we're gonna make it a little black dress with a little bit of elevation. I finally decided which part of the design I wanted to cut out. I tried to be as detailed as possible with cutting this out, but then when I started sewing and I started overlocking the edges of the patch, I realized that the details makes everything else a lot harder to do. So most of the details that I spent time cutting out, I ended up sewing over. So it's just kind of funny watching me precisely go around all of these butterflies and leaves, and then I end up just sewing them off. So I cut out the part of the tapestry that I want to attach to the dress. I'm gonna do an overlock stitch around the entire patch just to make it look a little bit more neat. And then I also found some scraps of another blanket that I'm gonna add to the bottom to add some length, and also it just makes it cuter. So I'm gonna do those little things, attach the bottom, overlock the patch, and attach to the dress, and then I'll show you how it looks on. You find the cutest things in the most random places. My boyfriend had a bunch of Dave and Buster points saved up, which is like an arcade just in case that's not everywhere. And in their little prize area, they had this little vacuum. And I was like, ooh, because he was asking me what I wanted because he allowed me to use all his points. And I got a bunch of stuff, and this was one of them. So it's just super cute how I found use for it. Gotta show off the clean stitches. The overlock machine never fails to satisfy me, honestly. I'm going over all of the little small details and patches with the overlock machine just to avoid any fraying or it just looking unneat after washing it or anything like that. Now that I have everything neatly sewn and secured around the edges, I'm going to pin them to the dress in the area that I want to sew it on. I accidentally did sew the straps onto the inside of the dress, so I had to unpick that and fix that. But after that was fixed, this is literally it. Why? When I watch these videos, it seems like the project is so easy, but I'm telling you, during the process, it wasn't as simple as in making it sound or look, because these projects probably took me like 2 hours each to do. Yeah, it looks super simple and easy, like I'm just cutting a bunch of stuff out, sewing them together, putting them on the dress. Yeah, that is what I'm doing, but it is pretty time consuming and tedious. But once you get the hang of it, it really can be like that easy.
Go. I told you. Swing, 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 swing. my little Tarzan.
For the ruffle mini skirt that I'm gonna make, I just googled ruffle mini skirt pattern tutorial. The link that I ended up using, I think, was for a children's ruffle skirt, but I just needed the idea, okay? I just needed the platform. So I used that as like a guide of the pieces that I need to construct, as well as how to construct them. This was a bit difficult, a little bit more difficult than I anticipated, but doing it one time helped a ton. Now that I did it one time, I feel like I can do it again and again and again and again, and it will get better and easier. And I think that's kind of the moral of sewing in general. It just comes with practice. Hey guys, right now I'm gonna be working with this black fabric to make a tiered mini skirt. I've been thinking about this for a while now. I wanted to have like a really thick waistband. This is the fabric that I got at Joann's. I was gonna go to like a more smaller owned business for fabrics, but it was 25 minutes away and Joann's was 7. I think it was like $10 a yard with 25% off. I probably paid like $15 for 2 yards. Let me know if that's expensive because I really don't know. This is some type of tinsel wool knit fabric. So it has some wool in it and it's also really stretchy, but it's thick, which I like. I was really taking my time deciding what fabric I want because I also can make like tops out of this and a bunch of other fun stuff, but today I'm just gonna make the pleated skirt. I also got this plaid. This is 100% cotton and I want to make a bustier with it. I got 2 yards of this because it was on sale, $3.99 per yard. I paid like $8 for 2 yards of this. I'm kind of going for like an Abercrombie bustier like this. And then this is the type of skirt that I'm gonna make. This is just a little book that I keep my ideas in. I'm not the best drawer, but I can understand and get the picture, so that's all that matters. This is a knit pointe fabric. I definitely want to go back and get black in this type of fabric. I am obsessed with pointe stuff. The pointe clothing is just really expensive, so I'm going to try to make the things that I want with this fabric. I think there was only a yard left. It was on clearance. I got 1 yard for $6. It was 70% off. Even this fabric is expensive. 1 yard of this fabric is 20 bucks. What the heck? I got it for $6, so that's great. With the pointe fabric, I'll probably make something like this, and also this in dress form. I don't have a pattern, so this is just from searching on the internet, and I use my measurements to get these measurements of how long I want the skirt, how long I want the tiers, and the ruffles. I don't have it listed here, but each connector piece and ruffle piece, I think I want it to be 3 inches because I want a 13-inch skirt and a 4-inch waistband, which is kind of a long waistband, but I want that look, you know? So let me write that down. So the top one is 4 inches. That's going to be the waistband. After that is going to be the connector and the ruffle piece, which I have labeled C1 to C3 and then R1 to R3 for the ruffle. Each connector and each ruffle will be 3 inches in length. And in the end, I should have a total of a 13-inch skirt. That's kind of how I do the math. As for the width of the connector piece and ruffle piece, I believe I like multiplied my waist by 1.5 to get the connector, and then to get the ruffle piece length, I multiplied that number by 2. I'm cutting out my fabric pieces right now. The one on the top is my waistband with seam allowance, and then I have 3 of my connector pieces, which are supposed to be 3 inches, but they don't look 100% identical, even though I measured them. The measurement that I have for the ruffle pieces is longer than the actual width of this fabric that I'm using. I'm gonna have to make my ruffle pieces this width. I'm just afraid that it's not gonna be as ruffly as I want it to be, but it's whatever. I can't really control this, and I'm not about to play Bob the Builder and sew a bunch of different pieces together to get the length of the ruffle that I need. Just not happening right now. So I'm gonna do it with the length that I can and just see how it comes out, you know? It's all about the journey, not the destination. I'm so excited for the future when I get a sewing studio and I don't have to do this on my floor, because this is like back-breaking activity and I'm too young to have back pains. So essentially these 7 rectangles are going to become a skirt. Let's make that happen. Now we do that a bunch more times. This is what we're working with. We have 3 connector pieces, which are the shorter ones, and 3 ruffle pieces, which are the longer ones. Oh, and this piece at the top is the waistband. When all the ruffling is done, all of the pieces will be the same width. So we're gonna work on the ruffle pieces now. I have my sewing machine set to a straight stitch on the loosest tension, which for me is 9. And I have my ruffle strip, which is the longest strip. I'm going to do what they call a basting stitch. This is my first time doing all of this, guys, so we're learning together, and I think maybe that'll be a good thing. So essentially what you do is you create a straight stitch along the top of the entire strip with those settings that I told you, and you pull the thread and it ruffles the fabric, and that's literally it. It's an easy process, it's just long and tedious. I know there's a lot of thread on my carpet, I'll vacuum later, but I'm going to show you the way that I found is the easiest to do this whole basting stitch. So when you sew with the settings that I told you on the sewing machine, it creates a very loose thread, and you also don't back stitch so that you can pull essentially the top thread. You pull the top, can you see? You pull the top thread and the fabric begins to gather, okay? I find that it's easier to do this laying flat because I just pinch where the thread is that I stitch and I just shift the fabric around like that. It's kind of harder to shift the fabric from here or like from the top. You really have to like pinch where your stitch is and shift the fabric around. And just it's easier with the fabric laying down, in my opinion, because when you do it like this, the fabric starts shifting and twisting. So I find it easier to just do this laying down. And while it's laying down, I open up one of my, what is this called again, connector pieces, so I could see the length of that and match it to the amount of ruffles. Hopefully this makes sense. If not, I will link the little article of the ruffle skirt that I read in order to make this video without a pattern. You just keep doing that until it's the same length. This is the ruffle piece, the longer piece that is now ruffled enough to be the same length as the connector. I have everything folded in half already because I cut the fabric on the fold so I wouldn't have to sew a bunch of different times to get this skirt cut together. I don't know if that made any sense, guys, but this is my 3rd time doing it. Based on doing it the first 2 times, I recommended the best way to do it, which is laying it flat and just playing around with the fabric. It's really tedious getting everything kind of spaced out as evenly as possible. And I also realized while doing this that I didn't hem the bottom pieces of the ruffles, but from what I could tell, this fabric is not gonna fray, so I'm just gonna not do it, and I'll do that next time. Here's a close-up on the ruffle. This actually looks really professional. This is really the painful parts of sewing. I did not put them right sides to right side. I put right side to wrong side, and now it looks like this. And I literally went through and sewed around this entire layer, used all that thread and brain power and effort, and it looks like I'm going to have to unpick it, but I don't think I am going to. Can you really tell? Honestly, I'm not going to, because this I think is going to be covered by the next ruffle layer, so I'm just gonna take the L. Progress update on the ruffle skirt. It's probably like a week later, and I'm adding the 3rd tier. This is gonna be a rough draft. I'm probably gonna remake this because there's a lot of things that I didn't do and a lot of mistakes that I made on it, and I kind of want to perfect the technique because I feel like this is gonna be something that I do often. So I'm not really gonna give it like a really clean finish or anything like that after I sew this together. I think I'm gonna be done with it, honestly. So I did finish the skirt. This is what it's looking like, obviously unfinished. It doesn't look bad, but it also doesn't look amazing. I didn't stitch the waistband on straight. I stitched it at an angle so it caused this part to dip like this instead of being straight and flat here. You'll have to remove the basting stitch that you used to make the ruffles. This whole waistband situation is just wonky. I should have not cut corners and just taken my time on it. The waistband stitch is here, but the ruffle stitch is here. So that's misaligned, which makes it look stupid. So that's that. Also, it could be a little bit tighter, the waistband. With the flaws that I have, sorry, I just wanted to flex real quick. It just kind of works better this way. I think it looks cute. I think it looks very sexy, especially with the dip in the back, which is a little risky, honestly, because at one point I could possibly have my crack out, but my crack isn't out, so we all good. This is the basting stitch here. I haven't removed it yet because I honestly sewed it incorrectly, and if I do remove it, I'm pretty sure all of my ruffles will be gone. So I'm gonna leave it. Like I said, this is just the rough draft, first draft of my tiered skirt. Done. Alright guys, so those are the 3 sewing projects that I'm gonna have in this video today. I can't wait to show you guys more and just give you more insight on what's going on in my mind creativity wise, aside from thrifting. So I really hope you guys enjoy me incorporating different content and just expanding on my platform. What was your favorite project? Do you sew? Are you interested in sewing? Do you not really care about it? I don't know, just literally comment anything. I just want to hear from you, honestly. Other than that, guys, I will see you guys hopefully next week. We're gonna try to be more consistent for sure. Bye.